Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Wednesday the 22nd of November. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments, and to share the video with your family and friends. This video is brought to you by the Step With Ja merchandise collection. Now for the news in detail. A man believed to be one of 13 gang members behind a series of murders within the communities of Salt Spring and the Flower Hill in St. James was shot and killed by the police in Mason Hall, St. Mary on Wednesday morning. The police say O'Dane Barrett, also called Jungle, of Bird Hill and Megitop, was linked to a double murder committed outside the Salt Spring Primary School in St. James just over a month ago. Barrett, who has been on the police's radar, was reportedly found in the St. Mary community during a pursuit operation by the St. James and the St. Mary Police. Commanding officer in charge of St. James, Senior Superintendent Vernon Ellis, said a pistol was recovered during the confrontation which led to Barrett's death about 4 a.m. I have gone to his house in Birdhill 36 times and did not find him, SSP Ellis stated, adding that with 2 of the 13 alleged gangsters out of the way, he would continue to pursue the remaining 11 men. One of the alleged gang members is in police custody in connection with the killing of 2 students who were shot in a taxi. The 13 gangsters are from Bird Hill, Scott Yard, Halls Lane, and Flower Hill, and we are not going to stop until we find them, Ellis promised. Ellis said the police believe a few have also fled to St. Elizabeth, and is hoping that law-abiding citizens in these areas will give them up. A delivery driver is dead after his truck went over a precipice during heavy rains in the Rio Grande Valley in Portland on Tuesday. Police sources said that the truck, which was loaded with hardware items, plunged more than 150 feet into a ravine shortly after 4 p.m. The police said the driver, who was trapped underneath the truck, was pronounced dead by doctors. His name has not been released by the police at this time. Firefighters had challenges providing assistance due to the depth of the ravine and torrential rainfall. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says amendments are to be made to the new Firearms Act to resolve several gaps in the legislation. The Firearms Act was passed into law in November last year. Chang says one of the changes being considered includes increasing the penalty for possession of a prohibited weapon from a maximum of 25 years to life imprisonment.
Madam Speaker, over the past year, the Act has been tested in our courts and some anomalies have been identified in the legislation. These anomalies were evident in particular following the recent judgment on the matter of Rex versus Atlee Murray. Following the press release by the ODPP, the Ministry of National Security convened a meeting on the 16th of November. The main intent of the meeting was to discuss the proposed increase to the penalty that may be imposed under Section 5, possession of a prohibited weapon. The existing penalty is imprisonment for such term of not less than 15 years, nor more than 25 years, as the court considers appropriate. Consideration is now being given to the penalty being a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, which was the original policy statement, with a mandatory minimum of not less than 20 years.
The 4 escapees from the Black River Police lockup who remain on the run are again being encouraged to turn themselves in. The quartet was among 8 men who cut their way out of their jail cell in June this year. The body of one of the 8 was found in bushes in September. 2 were recaptured in October, while another was shot and killed during an exchange of gunfire with the police on the weekend. Commanding officer for the St. Elizabeth Police Division, Acting Superintendent Coolidge Minter, says the other 4 men should surrender now.
The latest escapee that was killed in a confrontation with the police, he is Dean Simpson. He was one of them that escaped. There was a gun battle that took place in Downs, that's close to the border of St. Elizabeth, during an operation. Of the persons, there are 4 now remain outstanding, and I want to appeal to them. Oral Cole, Demar Williams, Anwar Hines, and Javon Sims. We appeal to them to surrender to the police, seek an attorney, and to come in. And we also appeal to them not to engage our officers if they are confronted.
ASP Minter says work has been done to fortify the jail cell from which the men escaped.
Well, prior to my arrival, some amount of work was done. The area that was breached was remedied, and we continue to ensure that the policies governing the JCF surrounding our lockup administration is fully maintained, and something that we continue to monitor in a very rigid way.
The initial damage assessment estimate of the country's road network by the National Works Agency following the passage of heavy rains on the island between November 16 and 18 is somewhere in the region of $409 million. A number of communities, primarily in the parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, St. Thomas, Portland, and St. Mary were impacted by the flood rains. 69 roads were badly affected by landslides, mud flows, downed trees, and inundation, which rendered some communities inaccessible and some marooned. The government has announced a temporary reduction in fares for the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC to $70, down from $100 for regular passengers. The measure will come into effect on January 1, 2024. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The reductions will see student fares move from $30 to $25. Pensioners will pay $30, down from $40. Clark says that this will help to mitigate the impact of recent fare increases for private taxi and bus operators. He says this will also alleviate the inflationary impact of said increase. The Finance Minister also announced a further reduction in JUTC fares effective April 1. This will see regular fares move from $70 to $50, with a further reductions for pensioners and students. The measure is intended to run for 24 months. Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police for Area 3, Glenford Miller, says major crimes are down in that region. Area 3 covers Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth.
In Area 3, major crime is down overall, and we're talking about murder, shooting, break-ins, robberies, rape, larcenies. So overall as a area, major crimes are down, but there are some challenges in Clarendon where we're seeing an uptick in murders and shooting.
So there are some problem pockets.
Yes,
but
Clarendon.
overall in the division, in
yes,
Area 3.
Area 3. So Area 3 consists of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Clarendon. So Manchester and St. Elizabeth is now showing a reduction in murders and shooting.
ACP Miller says he would welcome the imposition of a state of public emergency in Area 3.
We use the resources that we have. Maybe if we had a state of special emergency, a state of public emergency within Area 3, maybe it would have actually assisted us greatly, because there are some pockets in Clarendon that is giving us some amount of challenges. Because right now there's an uptick in crime, especially within the southern section of Clarendon and some amount within the central. And the southern section, we're talking about the Lionel Town Police area, the Exeter Police area, East Police area, and Milk River. They are in the southern side of Clarendon.
In business, the economy grew by an estimated 1.9% for the period July to September 2023, relative to the corresponding quarter of 2022. That is according to Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry.
Today, we are reporting an estimated growth of 1.9% in real value added during the July to September 2023 quarter, relative to the corresponding quarter of 2022. The estimated outturn for the review quarter largely reflected the impact of 1. Higher levels of employment, which supported the growth in demand. 2. Increased capacity utilization in the mining and quarrying industry. And 3. Continued growth momentum in the tourism sector, as reflected in the improved performances of the hotels and restaurants, other services, transport, storage and communication, and manufacturing industries.
The goods processing industry is estimated to have expanded by 2.3%. Mining recorded the highest outturn with an increase of 102% for the period. However, there was a contraction in the agricultural sector of 9%. The services industry was estimated to have grown by 1.8% relative to the corresponding quarter of 2022. In the short term, the country is expected to grow within the range of 1 to 2% for the October to December quarter.
Within this context, economic growth is anticipated for the remainder of this calendar year and the fiscal year. For October to December 2023, it is projected that the economy will grow within the range of 1% to 2%, resulting in calendar year growth, that is January to December 2023, within the range of 2% to 3%. For fiscal year 2023-24, the projection is for growth within the range of 1% to 2%.
In sports, Jamaica's first ever victory on Canadian soil at the men's senior level has seen the Reggae Boys booking a crunch semi-final showdown with the United States at the CONCACAF Nations League. The come-from-behind 3-2 quarterfinal victory at the BMO Field in Toronto allowed Jamaica to progress on away goals after a 4-4 aggregate tie. The showdown between Jamaica and the United States will be played on the 21st of March in Dallas, Texas. The other semi-final will be between defending champion Mexico, who beat Honduras on penalties at the Azteca Tuesday night, and the Panama. Canada will now have to defeat Trinidad and Tobago in one playoff in March to reach the Copa America 2024 tournament to be hosted in the United States. And that is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video with your family and friends. Have a good evening and see you next time. This video was brought to you by the limited edition Step With Your Merch collection. Get yours while stocks last. Links are in the description below.